Welcome to my channel. Well, today, here's the plan. I want to use this Christmas Gleaming Punch set with the paper and the Label Me Pretty and the punch. That's what I'm going to be using today. So, I'm going to get started, but to tell you the truth, even thinking about this paper, I just don't even want to punch it. It's so pretty. You know, if you're a paper hoarder like me, it's like, oh my goodness, don't touch it. We love the paper just like it is. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? But I'm going to just brave it, and I'm going to go and I'm going to use this paper. It's Pretty Peacock, Night of Navy, Mossy Meadow, and Very Vanilla in this pack. And so let's just see what we can do. I'm also going to be using an old transparency. So let's get started. Now with this transparency, it may not be thick enough. I'm going to try it anyway, but we may have to use the acetate sheets instead of this transparency. And I'm going to cut it into 5.5. And then, theoretically, I want to score it down the middle. And I want to crease it pretty good because it has a tendency not to want to stay. And this white cover sheet, I'm going to remove it. And that's going to be our card. So now I'm going to put a band on both sides of the front and of the back. So let's see how we're going to do that. Now using Very Vanilla, I'm going to cut a band. And so I think I'll make it about 2 inches wide. And I'm going to make 2 of them, or actually 4 of them, because I'm going to have one on this side, one on this side, one on this side, and one on the back. So I'm going to need 4 2-inch strips. Now I've cut these strips at 2.5 by 5, or 2 inches by 5 inches. So now I'm going to cut a piece of the Designer Series paper to go right on top of that. But these edges, I kind of want to decorate them, and I actually have a pair of scissors that are a decal cut. I have the edgelets that I could run through there. There is a border punch. Actually, because I'm doing this very fast, I think I'm going to use the decal scissors. These scissors are very old, but I like the edging on them, and so I just keep right on using them. And to me, they're quite fast. And so I'm going to do all of the edges with these decal scissors. And you can edge yours however you want to, but this is just kind of showing you how to make the card. And so I'm going to do that on all edges. Now, as I laid that down, it reminded me that when you open this, you're going to see the back. But now, if I edge all of my pieces, they're not going to match. There is no way that I can get those decal scissors to match. So here's what I'm going to do. The piece on the inside, I'm going to cut it down just 1/4 inch, and that way it will lay on the back between the deckled edge. And I'll still have this edge showing out on the front. So I'm only going to do 2 deckled edge fronts. So I've cut the inside pieces. See, this will be the outside, and this will be the inside. And you'll see that piece fits right between the deckled edges, and it will still have a layered look. So now we're going to get a piece that goes in here, our next layer. So here's my problem. Which paper do I use? It's killing me. So I think I'm going to use this as the background layer and the stars for the ornament. So let's go with that. And I'm going to use the smallest ornament in the series. And I'm going to try to position that to where the top of that, I don't know if you can see it, but that top is right in the middle of the ornament. And so that gives it kind of a special look to itself. Okay, so there's my 4 ornaments. Oh, love this paper. And then for this sheet, I'm going to cut, let's see, this piece was like 2 inches and 1 3/4. So let me get my other trimmer. Now the back side of this piece is 1 3/4. And so I think I want that edge to stick out on the front. So I'm going to cut my paper at 1 3/4. By 5 1/2. Oh, love that paper. And it's hard for me to cut because I am a paper hoarder. Okay, and it should be 5 1/2. Now I'm going to need 2 of those, but this inside is going to have to be cut at 1/4 inch smaller because that inside piece is 1/4 inch smaller. So let's see what we've got. Okay, there's my first layer. It's going to go on this side. And then when we open up, there's going to be this layer with this on the inside. Okay, so that's too long, so I need to cut that off to 5 1/2. It's funny, I've got a roll of Scotch tape. I'm going to use it to be my glue holder, to where the glue is always at the ready. Okay, I'm going to use Tombow Mono Multi Liquid Glue. And the reason for that is because we're working on acetate, and we have to have something that will stick to acetate. So we're going to glue that down. You just need very little glue. And we want to make sure that we get that. I don't really want it totally in the center, but I am eyeballing the edge here next to the edge of my decal edge. And then I'm going to push it down. And then I'm going to adhere my star label layer. Again, isn't that beautiful? Okay, I hate to glue that down the bottom going the other way, but I think that I'm really going to like this because I need not a lot of busyness in the background for this card. Okay, now that's my first layer. Now on the inside, as you can see, there's the glue, and that's why we want this layer and then this layer on the inside. So let's put that together. And you don't need much glue. And we're going to put that on the inside between the decal layer. Now you won't be able to see the glue. So now let me show you why we're using this set. as well. And that is the Label Me Pretty stamp set and punch. Using a scrap of Night of Navy paper, this is a new stamp set. I have not even used it. I'm going to get this image. This image right here. Well, you can see it. It's the outline, this image. And I'm going to use Versamark. And I'm going to stamp that. And then I'm going to emboss it with copper embossing powder. So I'm going to stamp that on there with Versamark. It is so sticky. So noisy. Oh, I might be able to get 2 images on here. I forgot to use my embossing buddy. I hope that works. Oh, I think it did. Okay, now I'm going to emboss that with my heat gun, and I'll be right back, because I know you don't want to, oh, you can't even see that. There it is. All right, I'll be right back. Now that I've embossed it, I'm going to use my punch, and I'm going to punch it out. Now also on this scrap, I'm going to punch the small embellishment, or the small ornament. I might need 2 of those so I can get, there's another one. Okay, now this one, I'm going to cut it into, I've changed my mind. After I lay that out there, I'm going to do one in Very Vanilla and see how that looks. Because I want it to matte with a little pop, and I think that will get it. I'm going to cut the Very Vanilla ornament right down the middle, and then I'm going to glue it to the back of my ornament. You don't need very much glue. And I'm going to maneuver that around to where it is just barely peeking out the edges. And I'm going to do the other side. There's a little wiggle room, but not much. I'm going to get it on the other outside too. And see how that makes it pop? I'm going to push it down well. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on it. Again, I have these little squares that I'm going to try to use those up. I don't know where they came from, but I like to use all the stuff I've got and like to use it up before I place another order of Stampin' Up. And by the way, my Stampin' Up website, you'll be able to see this card on there, but it will say Bible Crafts for Kids. I actually have 2 channels, one for Bible Crafts for Kids where we do free paper crafting. They are little pages that are, right now we're working on the Miracles of Jesus, and each page is different. Okay, now I'm going to put this right here in the middle. And I want to make sure I get that centered. And I think that's good. Okay, so now you're going to see why I put this together. Now, I could put a banner out here to say Merry Christmas, or let's see what's on here. Deck the halls and be jolly this season, or I could leave it blank and just put it right in the middle and then put my greeting on the inside. I like it it'll be fine just right in the middle. It is pretty. And so now you can see why I used the, if this had been smaller, then this edge and this edge would have poked out over the top. And so with that, you want to make sure that when you add the new one on the back side, that this edge will be able to show through too. So I think what I'm going to do is, so I can show you that, I think I'm going to put that right there, but I'm also going to put a Merry Christmas or something right here for the little banner. So let me go see what I can find. Now this is an old stamp set and it is retired, but I have 'Tis the Season, Season of Joy, Christmas Blessings, all in this stamp set. And so I'm going to use what I have, and I like the Christmas Blessings, so that is the one that I'm going to use. Now I'm going to stamp this in Night of Navy. Now they say if your design elements are too use black, and it will always tone down your design work. But I'm going to see what the Christmas Blessings will look like in Night of Navy. If it adds too much pretty, or it looks too, well then I'm going to use black. But I think the Christmas Blessings, I think it's going to be okay, but we'll see. Now I did another label and embossed it. And as I embossed it, I did it from point to point. And the reason for that is, although I have to cut off the one point, it gives me something to hold on to as I align it in the punch. As I do this, I'm beginning to think that I have a better alignment if I put my piece down on the table and then bring my ornament to the mat. Okay, now I'm going to put those on my dimensionals. I'm sure everyone has seen this. To make a banner, you simply snip the end of it, make a slit in the very center of how deep you want your flags, or the end of your flags, and then cut to the center. And there's our banner. Now you can also put a ribbon here. A ribbon would be very nice. Okay, so that's going to be a little long. So I'm going to want to cut that off. So there goes my tails. And I'll make another tail. Because we just did that, we know how. And I guess I'm just not getting to the center. There you go. So there's our Christmas Blessings. Now if we move this to the top, move this to the bottom, that makes a very nice card. So I think that's where we're going to do it. And I'm going to show you why we have extra. Again, we're using the Tombow because we're connecting to the acetate. And our Christmas Blessings, I think I'm going to put them up on dimensionals too. Now on dimensionals, you'll notice it takes right here a little, it's sitting on top of our emblem. But that's okay. I think I kind of like this. You know, everything we do is preference. It's what I like, what you like. They always turn out beautiful. And so if you don't like the way I'm doing it, I'm sure that your way will be gorgeous too, because you just can't miss when you're using the Stampin' Up! Products. And if you'll notice, I'm using the bottom of that star to be able to align that. And now as we open the inside, you're going to see the top of that emblem. And that's where this comes in. We're going to be able to cover that up with this emblem. So we're going to glue that in there. And we're going to do it right side up. Now this works as long as you have a uniform edge. And this has a uniform edge. And now let's see about putting our back. Again, we're going to do the inside with the decal edge. We're going to glue the inside of the decal edge, but we want to align that as best we can with this one. So what we can do is hold it. Now, if it's off a little bit, it's not going to matter, but I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to put my glue on it. I'm going to hold it in place. And as I've got it held in place, I'm going to let the back fold right over it. And then I'm going to add my other glue piece. Now, we probably should have stamped the greeting on the inside of this before we did this, but it's no matter. We can fix that. And our greeting, we want to go right here. Now, I've cut another strip of the star paper for the inside. And I'm going to glue that down. I'm looking at it, I'm going, where's the greeting going to go? Where's the greeting going to go? Well, I'm going to just stamp that on a bigger banner, or it may fit in one of these punches. So let me see if it will fit. Okay, now I've cut a piece 1.5 by 5.5, which is where I'm going to put my greeting. And this leaves room for them to write their who is the sender. After stamping that, as you can see, I got it crooked. But you know, after I got it on there, I thought, well, you know, that's kind of cool because it just adds to the festivity of it. Now, before we put this last piece on, I'm going to stamp my envelope. I really like this little ornament. It is so pretty. Now, you could stamp and emboss this on the envelope, and that would be gorgeous. But I think I'm just going to do a little stamping. And I may want to stamp off, so I'm going to put that on some paper. Again, I'm stamping with the Night of Navy. And see, this would be gorgeous in that copper embossing powder. Now, to finish this up, we're going to adhere our greeting to the inside. I need to clean that stamp real quick. We're going to adhere our greeting to the inside. Now, this kind of evolved because this actually was not what I was thinking. I'm not exactly sure what I was thinking for the inside, but I think that came out very well. I want to make sure that I get a piece of paper in there in case that is not totally dry. But this card is one that people will really look at because it's an acetate card. And when they receive it, it's a wow. Thank you for joining me today. And if you have not been to Bible Crafts for Kids, you may want to check that out. BibleCraftsForKids.com. The pages there they're amazing for kids. So join me later, and I'll see what I have up my sleeve for the next card.